Hello and welcome to the Eskrima podcast. My name is Jason Inayan and I am Inayan Guru. By now, some of you who are regularly watching or listening are part of my ISC tribe and on my subscriber list for my newsletters and things like that. Gotten a lot of really good feedback from the daily lessons that we put out. I put out like one free Eskrima lesson a day, talking about a particular technique or drill. I'm actually looking forward to it because the next stage after we get through some of this material that we're doing as part of the kind of like really just a show of demonstration of the core curriculum within the Inayan system of Eskrima, is the next stage is going to be pretty exciting. But hey, if this is your first time, or maybe you've been here a couple times and you've listened and you've watched, please like, subscribe, comment. If you're interested in joining the ISC tribe, just as the newsletters and stuff like that, then you can just go down, look down below. There's a bunch of links. One of them is the newsletter sign up. You can definitely do that. A special thanks to all the members that are out there who are subscribing as paid members, getting some of the exclusive content. Tonight we're going to be filming the masterclass. That's available right at the lowest subscription price, $7 a month. And we go and each month we focus on a themed training, and then I do a members only podcast as well, which is available on the app as well. So pretty excited about those things. Today I wanted to talk about something different though, or actually not different. And this is part of all martial arts, but definitely important for us to talk about in any martial art, especially our martial art, Eskrima, Filipino martial arts, right? So myself and Patrick, and if you've been watching a lot of my social media posts and videos, you'll see that there's a young man that trains with me. He's been training with me for, I don't know, maybe almost 11 years now, so just a little bit of time, but he's the one that travels with me and who trains with me 5 to 6 days a week. And one of the more recent videos is us performing Serada, lock and block. My own version of it, of course, influenced by my father. So there's some things in there. People are like, why are you kicking? Why are you doing this? And, you know, we understand our Eskrima a little bit differently, right? So we're trying to do certain things with our Eskrima. So it looks a little bit different, but it is Serada Eskrima. And after that demonstration, that was in New Hampshire at the Superfoot Wallace Symposium, that's what it's called, Symposium, and that's sponsored by Master Dow, and it was a great event. We did the demonstration, and I'm saying to people, yeah, this is Patrick. He's been with me for, at the time, 10 years or so, and he's one of my intermediate students, and Patrick got a lot of compliments that day, which was really cool. It was really, really cool. But he and I have been having a difficult work week. He works for one of the biggest online companies in the world, and I work for the biggest fintech in the world for our day jobs, and we're going through it, having a rough day, not just our work stuff but some personal stuff too. And so yesterday we really just worked on doing some panantukan, or just Filipino boxing, right? And then if you're familiar with Filipino martial arts, we were working on limb destructions, defang and staying. As my Uncle Danny would say, we're doing Siko the hand, as well as other things, but really working on that. This is among the fundamental ideas that I teach for Filipino boxing. In the Inayan system of Eskrima, that's part of Inayan Kadina de Mano Eskrima. And, you know, the focus, what I feel and what we feel separates Filipino martial arts and boxing with other boxing forms is the limb destruction. Now, limb destruction isn't unique to Filipino martial arts, but it is an indicative element of FMA. It's the thing that says, oh, they're doing limb destruction. I wonder if that's Filipino martial arts, because they do a lot of that, right? So we focus quite a bit on that, and we're going decent hard, decent fast, right? Enough to like where we're wearing our 16-ounce gloves, and you know we're feeling those elbows through those gloves, feeling them pretty good, and what it did was it brought us to being present. And this is something that's so great about martial arts. We ask about ourselves. Somebody might ask you, or we ask ourselves sometimes, what is the benefit? Why am I doing this? Because you go from, oh, my work this and my boss that, and this report and my quarterly business report this, and my KPIs and my QBRs and my OKRs and all these different acronyms for like, are you doing your work right? And is it good and all that stuff, and what have we done, and etc. And then girlfriend, husband, boyfriend, mother, daughter, best friend, somebody, grandma this and auntie that and uncle that and mother this, and oh my God, all these different problems that we all struggle with. And maybe it's your bills, right? Because that's a big struggle too, right? And so it's like, I got to pay this bill and this and that, and my paycheck doesn't come X, Y, Z, and I just need to do more of this or that. And then someone's punching you in the face, and it smarts. You might draw a little bit of red, but not too much. You definitely get your feelings hurt a little bit, and you're present. You're right there. You're right there. You're nowhere else. You're not about what's going on with your work, or what's going on with your family or personal relationships, and what's going on with your finances. For that brief moment, that 30, 45, 1 hour, 2 hour workout, you're nobody else. You're nowhere else, and with nobody else but yourself. You're training partners, but you're with yourself. You're in your own 2 feet, if you will. You're in your own 2 hands. You're in your own space, feeling your breath. And while you're learning all the things that you do learn through martial arts, and you're getting better and you're engaged, you're also very, very present. You're not attending a meeting while doing 2 or 3 other things and watching your clock for the next scheduled thing that you have to do for a personal or professional thing. You're right there. You're learning the angle. You're learning the attack. You're learning the defense. If you're asking questions, they're about how can I do this better, or how can this improve, and what worked about this. At least if you're my student, those are the questions that you're asking. And that's a beautiful thing. It's a gift that martial arts gives, and I got to enjoy that yesterday. And I forget about that sometimes because I take it for granted. And in fact, Dr. Wary and I were talking. He's my student, my private lesson student on Wednesday that I teach for 2 hours. We're talking about different things, and he's always saying, you forget that this is really complicated. This is really difficult for most people. Even himself, an educated man and someone who has, I think he has a 2nd or 3rd degree black belt in Kempo as well. So he's not an inexperienced martial artist. It takes a lot to do what we do, and it means that you have to be fully engaged. And I'm regularly doing that. However, because I've been doing it so long, I can think ahead to the next technique or drill that I have in my lesson plan, and I can track my lesson plan as I teach. But when we're punching each other, really punching each other, right? That's when things get different. Things get deeper, more fun. And I think that's part of my allure, or the allure for me. The magic happens when I'm here, right? When I'm present. And that's a huge value. I remember the first time I learned my first Sirada counter. My teacher was Fred Madrid, right? My teacher was my dad, but one of his gurus at the time, Fred Madrid, who was a neighbor boy that my dad taught, who became a guru under him, who was very accomplished as an Eskrima and a great person. When you meet someone who's not only skillful, but you can trust in every way, shape, or form, that you're never going to have to say, hey man, why'd you do that? Right? Fred was that guy. Fred was always that trustworthy person. Very much like a big brother to me, because he was a neighbor boy. I was 6 and he was probably, at the time he might have been like 18, 17, something like that. He was older. In any event, he taught me cross block. cross block on angle 1, first counter. It's the first counter I ever learned, was supposed to learn. And I remember I was standing on a little step because I was small. It was tall, so he put me on a step, and that was the step into the house. So I'm on a little tiny landing, right? And right behind me is the screen door to the house. So I'm gonna know where to back up, and so I close, right? And I got my arms up high, and I can see through my arms to my opponent. And he's telling me to keep my eyes on my opponent, right? And keep that nice strong block with my hand up there, catching his hand, my stick, crossing his stick to stop his stick. And I was there. I mean, it's a very vivid memory. I can remember the paint of the house. I can remember the dust in the air. I can remember the sound of the stick touching my stick or clacking. I can hear the other people teaching or training. I can hear my father's laughter in the background, right? I was there. I was present. And this presence that we have, this being present, being here now, this is like, one of the things that they teach us if we are students of internal work or meditation or this eternal presence of being where you are right now. It's that saying, Bruce Lee has that thing where he teaches, my Uncle Danny talks about it once in a while when we're in the instructor camps, but it's like that. This is, if you're chopping wood, chop wood. If you're carrying water, carry water kind of idea, which is to say that if I'm chopping wood, I'm only thinking about chopping wood. I'm chopping wood. That's what I'm doing. A wood chopper chops wood. A water carrier carries water. If you're carrying water, it's across your back, the pole, water on each side, concentrating on the balance, each step, not going to spill a drop. You're moving down your thing, and you're concentrating on carrying your water to a place, and that's it, right? That single focus, singleness of purpose is extremely important. I was just watching a couple reels as I got ready to go to work here for my commute, and there's this. It's a reel, and it's a cut between David Goggins and Dana White, right? So Dana White's the president, the face of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC. David Goggins, he's an ex-special operations group guy, ex-Navy SEAL, went to Ranger School, did all the things, and he's an ultra marathon runner. He's the guy that, he's our Jack LaLanne. Jack LaLanne back in the day, in the 60s and 70s, was the guy who would be like, hey man, if that tastes good, spit it out. It's not good for you. You got to be strong and hard. He's the guy that was swimming the San Francisco Bay, pulling somebody in a boat as he did it. Right? He was that guy. He was very fit, very, very. Goggins is the other way right here. He's running these 100-mile runs. And he's super lean, and his story is amazing because he comes from, he was like, I was working for, Echo Labs, and I was fat and disgusting, and I was just like, I was an exterminator. And then he turned his life around with a singleness of purpose. He was right there. He was right there in his misery. He was right there in his suffering, and then he turned around and became right there in his climb up. Right? And this being present took for just a regular person like myself and Patrick, who are just training at a gym, working out. We're gonna have our class. Class not gonna be super huge or nothing like that. There's some famous people at that gym. There's a guy that's a Bellator fighter, right? We're just Eskrima-dors, right? Doing our Eskrima thing. And we went from thinking about the white paper or the next deal, because I work where I'm handling deals essentially, to all right, I gotta step this way. And so I'm stepping, and I'm defending, and sometimes I'm not because I misstep or I read it wrong, and that's okay. It's part of that process that brought me to that point of being right there, experiencing the punches as they come, experiencing my punches as I deliver them, etc. And I did it in my Sarada when I was 6 years old, and I do it in my Sinawali today. right? Or yesterday, last night, I did Sinawali with Dr. Wary, right? And I did it with my Kudina Damano tonight when we do our master class. I'll be doing it there. We'll be working on that and being present and experiencing that moment. And just being in the moment is a beautiful thing. I don't know if there's anything of greater value. There's lots of things of value in martial arts, I believe, that I get and I try to give to my students, my tribe. But nothing's greater than that presence, that experience of being singularly one thing, one purpose, one direction, right? I tell my students a lot that you as an individual, if you can mentally, physically, and emotionally be present and be executing your defenses, your offenses in a cohesive way, your attacks will be irresistible. Your defenses, impregnable. Because I'm fighting all of you at the same time. Your job is to divide the other person. I want you, if I'm fighting you, to be thinking about your wife and what she said yesterday. Or if you're a parent, a father of a teenage daughter, what your daughter's wearing to school, right? I want you thinking about those things. I want you to think about how, you've got something that's due and you're not sure if you can get it done at work, or your boss is mad at you. I want you thinking about all of those things, right? I want you to think about, the stitch in your side, if you will, right? Where the cramp that you have, or, the ache that you have. I want you thinking about all those things. I want you to be carrying 1,000 stones, right? I want you to be carrying the woman still, right? If you know that Chinese proverb, because I won't be, right? That's the power of martial arts, is that, yes, I learned how to kick and punch and use a knife, a sword, a stick, spear, projectile weapons, pressure points. I learned all the things. What did you learn today? All of it. I learned all of it, right? However, those things are immaterial when it comes to, I do this thing. I'm a water carrier carrying water. I'm a wood chopper chopping wood, right? And I'm single of purpose. You are divided. You see my face, you're divided. You hear my voice, you're divided. You see me take a step, you're divided. Imagine that. What that feels like for them. That's what you want from them, right? And what you want from yourself is the opposite. And today, your last night was great for that. Really, really brought it home, because we took a moment to appreciate, man, I feel a lot better. That's the next thing. We talk about perseverance, we talk about discipline in martial arts. And then, you get these guys, I'm going to go hard and da-da-da, I'm doing this thing. And, they're not, right? They've got, well, I got to do this and I got to do that and blah, blah, blah. And so they get focused. Maybe they get back and they do that. Maybe they take a shortcut, right? Maybe they take a shortcut and they're cheating in some way, right? But they're not really doing it, doing the real work. Not the David Goggins way anyways, right? We talk about those things, but we have to sit back and appreciate them too. We have to be like, yeah, I did that, right? And then realize nobody cares. Time to work harder, right? Because that's really what it is about martial arts. Really, right? I was talking to a peer of mine 2 days ago, and we're talking about the difference between my program at the school and their program. And I go, your program is great, and you guys do your forms, you do your striking things. It's a Taekwondo focused curriculum, right? It says, and sometimes you guys spar, you do your things, you break your boards, but there's very little contested training, right? There is no true rite of passage, right? And that's okay, because the type of client that we have at the school for those programs, which is the parents, don't really want that. They want their kids to feel confident. They want their kids to achieve some things that are athletic, that have their own value, right? But the experience of failure and having to become so single of purpose, and that process where you have to embrace your failures and learn from them in order to gain successes, that's not necessarily something that they're looking for, that a truly traditional martial arts program will teach, right? So, we might have pro fighters there that understand this, but the people that are doing the kickboxing don't necessarily want to experience that. That's why they got love handles and muffin tops, right? They're not trying to achieve that, right? And that's okay. That's totally okay. But for those who are willing to do that, right, like my tribe is, right, that's a different thing. And that tribe will always be a little bit smaller than the booze crew that likes to come in and do cardio kickboxing during the week and then booze it out on the weekend. That's a different crowd of people, right? And so we have to understand that's okay for martial arts, because not everybody's the same, and that the value that we find in martial arts is something that's different. It's something that the arts have always provided, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing for us, and it's a good thing for everyone else too. That's fine, right? Taking the time to appreciate where you are, what you're doing, is also being present. It aids in your discipline and your perseverance, and ultimately you get to that point of being a singular human being, right? You're not better than any other human being. In some ways you're more human, because you're more aware of yourself, aware of your own capability. While you watch sometimes you watch people and you can tell, because when they're walking, it's almost like they're walking in two or three different directions at the same time. As they physically move through one direction, you can see their hips and their shoulders and their arms and their legs kind of throwing energy, if you will, emanating. I'm not sure how to put that, but they're pushing forward in not a singular purpose. Where you see somebody like, I remember one of the first times I saw Dr. Paul Weitzel, who was a colleague of my father's, and we were required to listen to his speech on the psychology of combat. Watching him walk, right? It's like watching a knife cut through material, just straight, direct, hunched over, powerful, implacable, right? Singular of purpose. He was there. He was walking, right? That's what he was doing, and he was thinking forward, and you could tell, you could feel his presence ahead of him, if you will. That was the beauty of yesterday's training, right? Is really taking a time to get there, because we needed to be there, and then also experiencing it, and then stepping back and going, thank you. I mean, we did a lot of other stuff too, because Patrick and I have to talk about performance of our posts on social media and the program that we're developing next. Like right now, we're getting ready for our Intro to JKD seminar at our school for our students, but it's also an opportunity for us to document some of that curriculum that I learned from my Uncle Danny for the Spider Dumog program, and some of the other things that we do at the school, because not everybody wants to do Eskrima, and that's okay. So we have other programs that we develop for them, and we're going through a process of taking the Inayan cipher and looking at a lot of different kinds of material that I've been exposed to over the years, have trained in and become proficient in, right? So, and what does that look like from the point of view of an Inayan Escrimador, and how is that differently executed, right? So we did those things too, but not until we had gotten a few licks in and received a few, if you will, in terms of punching each other and having that experience. And for me, it was a very relieving moment. I needed that space, right? Because currently I fast all the time, every day. And so, well, not the weekends usually, but like every day during the week. So when you pile on the stress and then you don't eat, it's nice to have something to draw you back and bring you present so that you can maintain focused. I won't say that I was fully successful, but pick myself back up, keep working hard. And that's brings me to the last thing that I'll leave you with today. Something that my father always said. We'd go to these black belt tests, we'd sit on the board. Sometimes I wouldn't sit on the board because whoever only wanted my dad to sit on the board. Sometimes they wanted both of us to sit on the board. And they do the test and they'd show the things that they know, and it would be their own experience, and meet the level as prescribed by their teacher, which is cool. And then all the teachers, all the people on the board would have to say something. My father always said the same thing. Keep training. We'll see you on the training floor.